Hi everyone, I am Brittany the Cosmic Lunar Soul. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back to all my subscribers. Today we are going to be doing the tarot tag No Disclaimers by Katie Flowers, and let's go ahead and get started. So question 1, what trends or tropes in tarot annoy you the most? I would say it's a trend. It's a valid trend, but I just don't enjoy them, are pip decks. And pip decks are basically just decks that have no illustration on the minor arcana. They are just like, they're like a deck of cards, really. So like 5 of Cups is literally just 5 pictures of or 5 cups on the card, and like 10 of Wands is just 10 wands listed out on the card. There's no actual imagery behind it. I don't enjoy that. I rely a lot on imagery in the cards. I actually know people that really enjoy pip decks, so there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just, it doesn't suit my style of reading. I also don't like surreal decks. And by that, I mean like those decks that feel like they might be CGI or like photos superimposed onto digital designs. It's very weird. Like the Starseed Oracle is a good example. I love the pastels of that deck, but the imagery is just, I can't wrap my mind around it. I don't like it at all. Another one is like the Moonchild Tarot. Not a fan. So, a trend that I don't like is recommending the Wild Unknown as a beginner-friendly deck. I kind of fell into this trap, and when I got it, I did not appreciate it. The deck is hard to use, and I feel like it's notoriously hard to use. There are very few people that I met that had an easy time of it when they first got it if they were newbies. I know there are people that got it as their very first deck. It was my second deck, and it made learning so much harder, and I feel like it set me back a lot because the guidebook and the imagery are loosely Rider-Waite-Smith based. And if Rider-Waite-Smith is not the system of choice for you, that's fine, and perhaps that would work for you, but it really made everything a lot more confusing because I was trying to understand the system and understand the meaning behind it before I just realized that I need to treat that deck as its own subsystem almost, and rely more on the imagery and less on trying to fit it into the Rider-Waite-Smith box. So I just feel like it's a little disingenuous that people would recommend that as a beginner-friendly deck, because a beginner wouldn't know to do that. Question 2, which decks do you feel are overrated? This one hits hard because I really like cats, but the Cat Tarot, I don't like it at all. I see people use it regularly, and it's so adorable. It's adorable, but as a tarot deck, it's just, I don't like some of the cards. I don't like how the minor arcana are like visualized. I don't inherently get the right meanings by just looking at the cards. So I said that a lot of my reading style is pretty visual. So if I can't look at a card and glean the meaning that I feel like I should get from it, I don't enjoy that so much. I also dislike the Star Spinner Tarot. It's insanely popular. I see it all the time, but I don't enjoy it. The cards don't make any sense. Like the 9 of Cups, there are no cups in that card anywhere. The imagery makes no sense. The color choices are wild at best and garish at worst. They don't fit the theme of some of the cards, and I wouldn't be bothered by that if the color scheme was unified throughout, but there are brighter cards and darker cards, and sometimes there are like the colors are opposite of what I feel like they should be. So like a happy card will have these deep dark colors, and then a sad card would have these bright more neon pastel-y colors, and I'm just like, why I don't understand why out of all of the cards, the only ones that don't have like people or peopleoid type drawings are the kings, which are dragons. Why? That's such a weird decision to make. I don't get it. And then what's weird is all of the aces are Rider-Waite-Smith based, except for the cups. It's just the choices, the design choices are so inconsistent and wild to me. I don't like it. I don't get why it's so popular. Also, Macabre Tarot, it's hugely popular right now. It's the tarot deck with the coffin that makes like a coffin noise when you open it up, and the box is so cool. And honestly, this is what I like to call box fishing, where the box is just immaculate. It's so cool. You want it. You just want it for the box. But then you look at the cards and they don't meet the hype of the box. A lot of them don't make sense, especially the major arcana. I mean, off the top of my head, the Fool is ridiculous. I feel like this is turning into a bashing video, and I don't mean for it to, but I have strong opinions about stuff. But I don't think that the cards meet the hype. And then some of the cards look like they could have just been designed in Canva. There's not much to them. The major arcana feel almost like, I think what it is they're very minimal, but they're minimal in a way that does not meet a standard tarot system. So it makes, I feel like there's no story behind it. I think that's a good way to describe it. There's no story, and it's really unfortunate because the box is awesome. I would love to just buy the box and put some other deck in it. Number 3, what are your least favorite decks you've seen since joining TarotTube? I will say, I don't know the names of them, but I highly dislike the decks that look like those cheap, cheesy romance novels. Like the imagery on them looks like it could be the cover of like a young adult romance novel. I don't like them at all. They're usually oracle decks, I've noticed, but still not a fan. Not a fan. Number 4, what is the one card that has ruined a deck for you? So I actually have 3, and there's some things that I look forward to. As a whole, I need to like the card, and then there's sometimes, there's rare exceptions where I'm okay with it not having the little sub-theme. So the 3 cards are the Queen of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Queen of Pentacles. They're the 3 cards that I associate most highly with myself in different phases of my life, or different based off of the questions that I'm asking. So if they are hideous, I will not buy the deck. Literally all of the other cards could be immaculate and I will not get the deck if those 3 cards are bad. I really enjoy Queen of Wands that has the black cat. So if it doesn't have a black cat, it could be a cat, I guess. But if it doesn't have a cat in it, it kind of, I don't like that so much. It's never made me not buy a deck, but I've enjoyed it. Just a little disappointing usually. Number 5, which out of print deck do you wish was still in print? I really wish I had caught the original release of the Lightseers Tarot. I really like it. It's very minimal difference, but the differences are just really great. I'll probably still get the Lightseers Tarot eventually. It's just, if I could get my hands on the original one, I totally would. Number 6, what are some of your tarot and TarotTube pet peeves? TarotTube, I would say that I don't enjoy the constant barrage of like love readings. Like, what is he thinking of you right now? Or what are you going to get back with your ex? Or who are you going to marry? Or I don't like that at all. I know people do it because the algorithm is geared towards that stuff, because that's what people want, but I don't like that. I'll do them during my live streams because I very rarely send people away. But I don't enjoy those questions. I wouldn't accept a private question for that. Um, I don't enjoy that at all. And as a subset, I don't like the push of the idea of like using tarot to find your soulmate or twin flame. I don't like the concept of them, let alone more or less it feels disingenuous in a way, but and it seems a little taking advantage of people's like neediness. Another one, someone else actually said this, but someone who only does flip throughs and you never see them using the deck. So I like to do my flip throughs when I first get the deck because they're already in order, and it's almost like my process of going through a deck and getting to know it. But then if you follow that channel, you never see them using that deck ever. So one of the things that I've actually sort of reflected back on this myself, one of the things that I want to do for my channel is to do like a month where I only use a specific deck, and I'm going to let my followers on Instagram decide which deck that is. So you'll see them in my live streams, you'll see them in my videos, you'll see them on Instagram. And I think at the end of that, I'll do like a month with kind of series where I talk about how the deck jived, and maybe I'll do an interview with it. I don't know. I haven't fully hashed this out. You guys are kind of hearing my brain working in real time right now. But I don't know. I don't know why I don't like that they're only doing flip throughs and not using the deck. It doesn't matter when you really think about it, because the only thing I'm going to know about a flip through really is the card stock and what the cards look like. So you don't really need to, but I don't know. It feels a little, I don't know. Question 7. What are some decks you feel should have more recognition? Someone else actually said this. I'll tag her. I'm so bad with YouTube channel names, but the Game of Thrones tarot is actually one of my favorite decks. I did a pseudo review. It was more of a flip through because I never did a flip through when I first got it. So it was a little bit of a flip through, a little bit of a review of the Game of Thrones tarot recently, so you can check it out on my channel. But it's a really good deck. I feel like it's the perfect size. I think some people don't like the card stock. I would say that it's standard. Some people consider it low quality. I consider it solidly standard. No frills. It's lightly, I would say it's like whatever is one step off from matte. It's like a playing card, I feel like, except a little bit bigger. So it's a perfect size for me. I have small hands. There's no gilding, nothing on the edges, literally no frills. Comes in a great box, not travel friendly, but it's really nice. And then it has probably the best guidebook I have ever gotten for a deck of that price. No, I lied. I'm exaggerating a little bit because my Everyday Witch Tarot has a really good guidebook. So I feel like the cards themselves are really well thought out. There are very few cards that I disagree with. So I think that means the person who created the deck both knows their shit about tarot and knows their shit about Game of Thrones, and I think they melded the two very, very well. What's interesting, and I kind of talk about this a little bit in more detail, I should say, in my review, is the cards have if you know the Game of Thrones story, it is a dark story. So it has this underlying darkness to everything, which I think is really cool, and it makes it very useful for, I think, maybe not full-on shadow work deck. I usually use my Wild Unknown for that, but I think it's a good deck to use for people because it's gonna give you the full story and probably give you the shadow of what's really happening as well. So I really enjoy it. I think it's very underrated. So if you enjoy Game of Thrones, I'll make sure to put the link to the deck in my description. If you enjoy Game of Thrones, you should definitely check out that deck. I would say that another deck that should have more recognition is the Prisma Visions deck. It's actually really cool, the prospect of it. So we're always talking about the major arcana as the Fool's journey, and you can line them up and you can see how the Fool is progressing through life. But the Prisma Visions Tarot takes that to the next level and applies that to each of the minor arcana. So if you lay the cards out, it creates this panoramic story, and I really love that. It's really helped me reshape how I feel about the minor arcana, because everything is a journey. Each one is like a journey through the different elements, and I think that seeing that laid out is so underrated, and I wish people did that more. The colors, the cardstock, beautiful. It has this lovely silver gilding, it's high gilding, so it gets a little messed up with a lot of use, but it's still just really awesome. And then what's really cool about it is it has an extra card with it. It has like just an extra card, but the difference is, and I know some people don't like this, there's no meaning. So you can apply your own meaning to the card, but if you don't like it, you can always pull it out and like use it as decoration. So I really enjoy the Prisma Visions deck. Another deck that I think is starting to gain popularity, I don't see it much on YouTube. I don't think I've ever seen anyone on YouTube use it, is the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck. I love it. It's so pretty. It has this Art Nouveau style, but it's not unrelatable. And it has 2 extra cards, which I again love when decks have extra cards. It just creates more meaning to everything. And the difference is this does have actual meaning in the guidebook. The guidebook is probably the crappiest guidebook I have ever gotten in my life. It's laid out well for me. I really like the layout, but it's literally stapled together paper. But the cards themselves are nice and thick. They kind of have I guess they're semi-gloss. I don't know. I'm so bad with finishes. But they have this high gilding on them that just makes them so beautiful. They catch the light and it just makes the imagery, it gives the imagery an extra dimension. So I would love to see more people use it on WitchTube. Number 8, what are your thoughts on negative reviews? You know, I never thought of this as a thing, really. If you made it this far in the video, you know I have strong opinions about stuff, especially with the decks I felt were overrated. So I feel like tarot is art. The images on there are art. You're always going to get negative reviews. It is what it is. You know, different strokes for different folks, because not everybody likes the same kind of art, and that's okay. That's what makes tarot personable, and that's what makes it, you know, that's what makes it fun, really. I mean, as long as the review isn't like, you know, these cards disintegrated when I shuffled them, then it is what it is. If you don't like the art, you don't like the art. And not everybody is gonna agree with me about the Game of Thrones and Prisma Visions and the Ethereal Visions, but it is what it is. And, you know, in that regard, just because something has a negative review doesn't mean that it's actually all bad. Like my Prisma Visions, I would give a negative 5-star rating for the guidebook. But the deck itself is beautiful, and I have plenty of guidebooks, so I don't need the one for that deck explicitly. I don't think people should put so much weight on negative reviews, especially when it comes to tarot cards. It should boil down to quality, and even that's a little subjective, but you know, as long as your cards aren't tearing immediately, as long as there are no missing cards, as long as the box isn't like poorly put together, that kind of stuff, like the customer servicey kind of stuff, I don't really have like thoughts on negative reviews under normal circumstances. So I'd be curious to see what you guys think of that. Alright guys, this was my tarot tag, no disclaimer. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about me and my tarot journey and just my opinions on tarot and tarot tube. So if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Bye guys!